friends, my name is Aubrey. Welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you all here with me today. So it is time for my February book haul. So February is over, we have now started March, and it is time to go over all of the books that I acquired in the month of February. So I mentioned in my January book haul that I am trying to not buy as many books this year, and some of the exceptions are like special editions, if there are books that are continuing series that I'm already reading or already collecting. And then I have a number of pre-orders that are already have already been ordered, so those are coming in as well. I did, however, make an exception this past month because Book Outlet was having a sale where they had all of their fiction, or most of their fiction. I guess it wasn't technically all of it, but they had most of their fiction for $5.99 or less. And so I did get a couple of books from Book Outlet just because there were some that I've wanted for a while, and I was like, I'm just gonna take advantage of that sale. But anyway, so as usual, we're going to go through all of these books based on where I got them from. So the first one that I have here was actually a gift from my mom. I think I've mentioned in videos before, my brother and his girlfriend started a book club with me and some of our friends, and we meet on Discord and discuss books, and we take turns. Well, we don't really take turns. After we have our discussion of the previous book, we all put in 2 books that we would like to read together and discuss, and like a little wheel generator thing, spin the wheel and then it picks one. So the most recent book that was picked is from one of our friends, Nick, and that is The Russian Debutante's Handbook by Gary Steingart. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure if I'm going to like this one. I'm not sure if it's going to be something that I particularly am interested in. And so I was trying to find a free copy, like at a local library or something that I could just borrow and read, and I couldn't find one where I live. So my mom actually ordered this for me for Amazon. She got it for really cheap because I think it's a used copy, and just gave it to me so that way I can read it and participate in the book club and not have to spend a lot of money on trying to get a copy. And we're actually talking about this on, I think it's the 14th or 15th of this month, so I do need to start reading it pretty soon, but it'll be okay. I'll do that. Vladimir Gershkin, 25-year-old Russian immigrant, little failure according to his high-achieving mother, unhappy lover to fat dungeon mistress Chala, his little challah bread, and lowly clerk at the bureaucratic Emma Lazarus Immigrant Absorption Society, is about to have his first break. When the unlikely figure of a wealthy but psychotic old Russian war hero appears and introduces Vladimir to his best friend, who just happens to be a small electric fan, Vladimir has little inkling that he is about to embark on an adventure of unrelenting lunacy, one that overturns his assumptions about what it means to be an immigrant in America. So I know that it talks about, it takes place in New York, in the Lower East Side. Oh, and so it takes place multiple places. It says, from New York's Lower East Side to the frontier wilderness of Prava, the European Paris of the 90s. Stalin is in here, or at least the effects of Stalin's rule. Russian mafioso. I don't know. It sounds bizarre. And like I said, I'm not sure how much I'm going to like it, but I guess we'll find out. And I'm very appreciative that my mom got this for me so that way I can participate in the book club discussion. Then I also got one pre-order from Acrylopic's Bookish Nook, and that is The House in the Cerulean Sea. This is the first book in the Cerulean Chronicles by T.J. Klune. This is one of my favorite books of all time, and so when Acrylopix had announced their edition of this, I did pre-order it. It's very, very pretty. The art on the cover is very cozy, very sweet. It has really cool sprayed edges. You can see the phoenix and the little town there. And other than that, I think the hardcover is just a standard hardcover. However, it did come with 3 different page overlays. I haven't put them in the book yet because I wanted to show them more easily like this. So we have the house, the orphanage there. We have Arthur and Linus dancing at the party. And then we have Linus's desk with a photograph of him and Arthur and all of the children. So these are very cute. I am going to add these to the book in their appropriate places. But I think that's a neat touch to include. It adds like a little something, I think, to the special edition besides just the alternate dust jacket and sprayed edges there. But if you have not heard of the House in the Cerulean Sea, we follow Linus Baker, who works in a government organization. He's essentially like a social worker for magical supernatural children. And he's sent to investigate this particular orphanage run by a man named Arthur because some of the children there are a little more different than usual and possibly dangerous. So we see Linus going and meeting these children, meeting Arthur, who is their caretaker, and kind of figuring out that maybe his life is not exactly the way that he wanted it to be. And it's a very, very wholesome, very sweet. It is the epitome of cozy found family fantasy, and I love it so much. And this edition is beautiful, and I'm very happy to have gotten a copy. Then I got in an order from Amazon. So I did actually order this one as well this year because I've mentioned before, Dragon Age is one of my favorite video game franchises of all time, and I have a video coming out later this month where I'm going to talk about Dragon Age and specifically Dragon Age the Veilguard, which is the newest game in the series, but also a little project that I'm working on to engage with the Dragon Age franchise because there is a lot more to it than just the games. So I saw this on sale on Amazon and I ordered it, and that is the deluxe edition of the art book for Dragon Age the Veilguard. So it comes in this really pretty slipcase, and here is the book. It's got gilded edges. We have Fen Harel on the back cover, and the deluxe edition comes with some art prints, which I think is really cool. So yeah, I've been reading through it. You can see I'm a little over halfway through it. But this has a lot of concept art and basically like production notes about how they were trying to design characters, get them kind of finalize different locations for the video game. They also have, the book is split into 3 sections, and the first 2 are kind of talking about their sort of initial ideas that maybe didn't actually become part of the final product, which was really interesting to look at just from a design perspective and seeing kind of how different ideas have been scrapped and different things have been changed. But I am going to talk about this a lot more in that video on Veilguard. So I'm hopefully going to finish it soon. I do need, like I said, to read the Russian Debutante's Handbook, and then hopefully I'll be able to finish this and then talk about it in that video. So if you want to hear more thoughts on the art book, Veilguard in general, or Dragon Age, if you are not familiar with Dragon Age, which is the best, I will talk about it more there. Okay, so then I received 3 pre-orders from Barnes & Noble in the month of February. The first one is The Bones Beneath My Skin by T.J. Klune, and this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. In the spring of 1995, Nate Cartwright has lost everything. His parents are dead, his only brother wants nothing to do with him, and he's been fired from his job as a journalist in Washington, D.C. With nothing left to lose, he returns to his family's summer cabin outside the small mountain town of Roseland, Oregon, to try to find some sense of direction. The cabin should be empty. It's not. Inside is a man named Alex, and with him is an extraordinary 10-year-old girl who calls herself Artemis Darth Vader. But Artemis isn't exactly as she appears. Soon it becomes clear that Nate must make a choice. Let himself drown in the memories of his past or fight for a future he never thought possible. Because the girl is special, and forces are descending upon them who want nothing more than to control her. So, what I'm hoping from this book is that we will see more of TJ Klune's lovely found family and romance, and also there's bacon embossed on the cover there that I just noticed. And yeah, I'm excited. I also feel like he does a good job, I think. I haven't read a lot of TJ Klune. I think the only one I've actually read is The House in the Cerulean Sea. But I have collected a number of his other books, and going by the premises of those works, I would say that he often incorporates some sort of trauma or like harder topic in amongst the sweetness of the found family romance, whatever he's writing about in that story. And so it sounds like that's going to be the case here, and I'm really excited to read it. Then I got the first volume of a graphic novel that is actually it was originally a webtoon and it's now being published physically. And you're going to have to forgive me because the title is in French and I don't know how to pronounce French. I'm so sorry. I'm so bad at it. But it's called Les Normaux. Les Normaux. But as I said, this is volume 1. It's by Janine Jansen with S.L. Sabado. It looks so cute. Oh my gosh. And we have a little like Frankenstein's monster and this girl on the back. It looks adorable. I'm really excited to try this one. Boy moves to new city. Boy meets vampire. They kiss, then become friends, but both would like something more. Sebastian recently moved to supernatural Paris, hoping to get away from his troubles at home and live a peaceful life learning magic. But what are you going to do when the really hot vampire you made out with last night to forget your troubles turns out to be your new neighbor? Sebastian, a demisexual boy with main character hair and a bunny named Pierre, meet Elia. Elia? We're going to say Elia. Meet Elia, a hot supermodel, vampire neighbor, and crush. Join Elia, Sebastian, and their assorted crew of wonderful friends as they navigate the ins and outs of dating in a modern and paranormal love story. This just sounds so cute, and it looks so cute, and I love anything to do with Paris, so I'm really excited to try this. Then I also got in a copy of The Lost Library by Rebecca Stead and Wendy Mass, and again, this is the Barnes & Noble exclusive. Take a book, leave a book, or both. When a mysterious little free library, guarded by a large orange cat, appears overnight in the small town of Martinville, 11-year-old Evan plucks 2 weathered books from its shelves, never suspecting that his life is about to change. Evan and his best friend, Raph, quickly discover a link between one of the old books and a long-ago event that none of the grown-ups want to talk about. The 2 boys start asking questions whose answers will transform not only their own futures, but the town itself. Told in turn by a ghost librarian named Al, an aging but beautiful cat named Mortimer, and Evan himself, The Lost Library is a timeless story from award-winning authors Rebecca Stead and Wendy Mass. It's about owning your truth, choosing the life you want, and the power of a good book. And, of course, the librarian who gave it to you. So this is a middle grade. It just sounds adorable. I love books that talk about loving books. And that seems to be what we're going to get here with a little bit of magic. So yes, I'm very excited for this one as well. Okay, so now we're getting into the book outlet stack. So the first one that I have here is The Book of Lost Names by Kristen Harmel. Eva Traub Abrams, a semi-retired librarian in Florida, is at the returns desk one morning when her eyes lock on a photograph in a newspaper nearby. She freezes. It's an image of a book she hasn't seen in 65 years, a book she recognizes as the Book of Lost Names. The accompanying article describes the looting of libraries across Europe by the Nazis during World War II, an experience Eva remembers all too well. As a graduate student in 1942, Eva was forced to flee Paris after the arrest of her father, a Polish Jew. Finding refuge in a small mountain town in the Free Zone, she begins forging identity documents for Jewish children fleeing to neutral Switzerland. But erasing people comes with a price, and along with a mysterious, handsome forger named Remy, Eva decides she must find a way to preserve the real names of the children who are too young to remember who they really are. The records they keep in the Book of Lost Names will become even more vital when the resistance cell they work with is betrayed and Remy disappears. As the Germans close in, Eva records a last vital message in the book. Decades later, does she have the strength to seek out its answer and help reunite those lost during the war? So I really like stories set during World War II. I always have. And this one I think is going to be very emotional with these children who maybe have been separated from their family most of their lives and don't remember where they came from, don't remember who their birth families are. And then also just the hardships of being someone who is facilitating that and seeing the destruction and chaos that is being wrought by the Nazis. So this one's been on my list for a while. And so when I saw that Book Outlet had it as part of the sale, I couldn't resist getting a copy. Then I have The Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands by Sarah Brooks. It is said there is a price that every passenger must pay, a price beyond the cost of a ticket. There is only one way to travel across the wastelands, on the Trans-Siberian Express, a train as famous for its luxury as for its danger. The train is never short on passengers eager to catch sight of wasteland's creatures more miraculous and terrifying than anything they could imagine. But on the train's last journey, something went horribly wrong, though no one seems to remember what exactly happened. Not even Zhang Weiwei, who has spent her life on board and thought she knew all the train's secrets. Now the train is about to embark again, with a new set of passengers. Among them are Maria Petrovna, a grieving woman with a borrowed name, Henry Gray, a disgraced naturalist looking for redemption, and Elena, a beguiling stowaway with a powerful connection to the wastelands itself. Weiwei knows she should report Elena, but she can't help being drawn to her. As the girls begin a forbidden friendship, there are warning signs that the rules of the wastelands are changing and the train might once again be imperiled. Can the passengers trust one another as the wilderness outside threatens to consume them all? So this sounds really cool. Takes place on a train. I want to know more about these wastelands and what these creatures are and what the wastelands are exactly. And also just when you start listing in a group of people with secrets and unknown backgrounds and putting them somewhere on a train or on a ship, it instantly gets my attention and I want to know more about them and I want to know what they're doing and find out more about all of the different people, so all the different passengers in this case. So I'm already invested. Okay, then I have The Serpent and the Wings of Night, which is the first book in the Nightborn Duet, which is the first series in Crowns of Nyaxia by Carissa Broadbent. For humans and vampires, the rules of survival are the same. Never trust, never yield, and always, always guard your heart. The adopted human daughter of the Nightborn vampire king, Oraya carved her place in a world designed to kill her. Her only chance to become something more than prey is entering the Kajari, a legendary tournament held by the goddess of death herself. But winning won't be easy amongst the most vicious warriors from all three vampire houses. To survive, Oraya is forced to make an alliance with a mysterious rival. Everything about Rain is dangerous. He is a ruthless vampire, an efficient killer, an enemy to her father's crown, and her greatest competition. Yet what terrifies Oraya most of all is that she finds herself oddly drawn to him. But there's no room for compassion in the Kajari. War for the Nightborn crown brews, shattering everything that Oraya thought she knew about her home. And Rain may understand her more than anyone, but their blossoming attraction could be her downfall in a kingdom where nothing is more deadly than love. So, this is one of those romantasy series that has just kind of taken the internet by storm. And I am not typically drawn to a lot of the really popular romantasy just because they don't tend to appeal to me personally. But I have heard people talk about how this is a really good one, and I'm intrigued. So I do like a good vampire story. I've heard people for example, Elliot Brooks, I think, may have been one of the people who mentioned that this one was pretty good. And so I do want to try it. And so being able to get a copy really cheap was pretty much the perfect situation. I really hope I like it. I guess we'll see, but I do really hope that I like it. Next, I got The Ultimate Wizarding World History of Magic, a comprehensive chronicle of the Harry Potter universe through the ages. So, this is a series of books that has been put out by MuggleNet, where they essentially compile information on different subjects within the Harry Potter universe. So, I already have the Bestiary, Character Compendium, Spellbook, and there's another one. Oh, there it is, Hogwarts Handbook. So this is the most recent one, I think. I don't think there have been any after this. I could be wrong. But as the title suggests, this one goes over a brief history of magic, so talking about different historical events within the Harry Potter universe. And so I do like to read through these. I have read through all of them except the Hogwarts Handbook, which I'm about halfway through, I think. I just read little bits here and there whenever I feel inclined. So this one will join that one. And after I finish it, I'll move on to this one and just read snippets whenever I'm in the mood. But they are really interesting. If you're a fan of Harry Potter, they're really good about taking canonical information and compiling it. It's not really dry like a textbook. It's still, to me, is very interesting. But then again, I like informational books. But I really enjoyed the first three. So I don't know. If you're a Harry Potter fan, I think they're really neat. And I think that the folks at MuggleNet do a really good job of putting them together. So anyway, the next one that I have is Kindling by Tracy Chee. This is a fairly recent release. I think it came out last year. Yeah, it came out last year. But anyway, I think the cover art is absolutely beautiful. And I have another book by Tracy Chee, which is 1,000 Steps into Night, which I haven't read yet, but also I'm excited to read it. I need to get to it. Come Victory or Come Death. Once, the war was fought with kindlings, elite, magic-wielding warriors whose devastating power comes at the cost of their own young lives. Now the war is over, and kindlings have been cast adrift, their magic outlawed, their skills outdated, their formidable Balar weapons prized only as relics and souvenirs. Violence still plagues the countryside, and memories haunt those who remain. When a village comes under threat of siege, it offers an opportunity for 7 kindlings to fight one last time. But war changed these warriors, and to reclaim who they once were, they will have to battle their pasts, their trauma, and their grim fates to come together again, or none of them will make it out alive. Okay, it says that this is a gut-wrenching, introspective fantasy about 7 lost soldiers searching for the peace they once fought for and the future in which they're finally daring to believe. So this sounds like it's going to cover a lot of topics that I am very interested in, such as the concept of post-war trauma, the issues with, like, once war is over, how do soldiers then integrate into civilian life? Like, what do they do after that? But also this idea of, like, having someone who you see as beneficial for their power when the power is helping you, but as soon as it is no longer necessary to use it, you fear it and start to try to oppress it, which seems to be what happens here. That's also a theme that you see in Grandmaster of Demonic Cultivation by Mo Xiang Tongshu, and also the TV show based on that, which is called The Untamed, which I think is really, really, really well done in that story. You know, this idea of, like, you fear someone who's stronger than you, and so once they are no longer useful to you, you want to deal with them and make it so that because of your own paranoia of them rising up against you, you want to make sure that that's impossible. And that seems to be something that's going to be discussed in here too, as well as the concept of potentially children soldiers, because it says that they're young, and I wonder if maybe they're teenagers or young adults at the most, which I think is also an interesting concept to talk about because of, you know, how young people can enlist into the military in different parts of the world. So yeah, I think that that's something that I think that this is going to be really hard hitting, but I also really cool fantasy concept as well, and I think it's going to be really good, and I'm really excited to read it. Then I have another webtoon that is being published physically, and that is Noblesse. So this is volume 1, and it is by Jae-ho Son and Kwang-soo Lee. I believe it was originally published in Korean, I think. Not sure if it's going to say in the copyright information. I don't see it right away, but I do think that it's originally published in Korean. When Caddis Atrama di Rizel, or Rai for short, awakens after 820 years, he discovers a modern world he simply doesn't understand. Once an extremely powerful member of the Nobles, a race of nearly immortal and powerful creatures, Rai decides to start again as a student at Ye-ran High School, founded by his former servant Frankenstein, who is somehow still alive after all these centuries. Frankenstein's goal is twofold. He wants to help his powerful vampire-like master learn about human life and culture, but he also needs to protect Rai from the modern forces he cannot fathom. Rai's somewhat peaceful new life is about to be shattered by the Union, a secret organization interested in using his powers to further its own malicious agenda. When the past clashes with the present in this fresh take on familiar dark fantasy tropes, Rai must do everything in his power to ensure the Union won't control his destiny as he continues to integrate himself into this new and confusing modern world. So this does collect part 1 of season 1 of the webtoon. It's got cat hair on it. I just think this sounds really cool. As I said, I love vampires. And I also like seeing characters who find themselves in a world that they are unfamiliar with. So this isn't really an isekai or a transmigration. It's just he wakes up in the future. I don't know. I just think it's going to be really fun. And it's in full color, which is always cool. So I really hope I like it. I'm excited. I'm excited for all of these. I don't know why I even bother to keep saying that. But I am. Okay. Then I have, oh gosh, what is this series called? Secrets of the Nile. I have What the River Knows, which is the first book in Secrets of the Nile by Isabel Ibanez. Bolivian-Argentinian Inés Oliveira belongs to the glittering upper society of 19th century Buenos Aires, and like the rest of the world, the town is steeped in old-world magic that's been largely left behind or forgotten. Inez has everything a girl might want, except for the one thing she yearns for the most, her globe-trotting parents, who frequently leave her behind. When she receives word of their tragic deaths, Inez inherits their massive fortune and a mysterious guardian, an archaeologist in partnership with his Egyptian brother-in-law. Yearning for answers, Inez sails to Cairo, bringing her sketch pads and a golden ring her father sent to her for safekeeping before he died. But upon her arrival, the old-world magic tethered to the ring pulls her down a path where she discovers there's more to her parents' disappearance than what her guardian led her to believe. With her guardian's infuriatingly handsome assistant thwarting her at every turn, Inez must rely on ancient magic to uncover the truth about her parents' disappearance, or risk becoming a pawn in a larger game that will kill her. The Mummy meets Death on the Nile in this lush, immersive historical fantasy filled with adventure, arrivals to lovers' romance, and shocking twists and turns. This sounds so cool. I've mentioned before, I love the Mummy, I love Egyptian mythology, and I love archaeology. And this has all of that, plus some romance, plus a mystery. This sounds great. I've had this on my list for a while, like ever since it was first announced, and now I finally have a copy, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited to read this. Then I have The Spell Shop, which is the first book in the series, I think of the same name. I think the series is also called The Spell Shop by Sarah Beth Durst. I just have to point out this cover and the little cat with wings here. It's so pretty. Also, the copy that they sent me from Book Outlet is the first edition with the beautiful purple sprayed edges, which is really, really cool. But now I'm gonna want the sequel to match, so I'm gonna need to get that edition with the sprayed edges. A lush cottage courtale full of stolen spellbooks, unexpected friendships, sweet jams, and even sweeter love. Keela has always had trouble dealing with people. Thankfully, as a librarian at the Great Library of Elysium, she and her assistant, Kaz, a magically sentient spider plant, have spent the last decade sequestered among the Empire's most precious spellbooks, preserving their magic for the city's elite. When a revolution begins and the library goes up in flames, she and Kaz flee with all the spellbooks they can carry and head to a remote island Keela never thought she'd see again, her childhood home. Taking refuge there, Keela discovers, much to her dismay, a nosy, and very handsome, neighbor who can't take a hint and keeps showing up day after day to make sure she's fed and to help fix up her new home. In need of income, Keela identifies something that even the bakery in town doesn't have: jam. With the help of an old recipe book her parents left her and a bit of illegal magic, her cottage garden is soon covered in ripe berries. But magic can do more than make life a little sweeter, so Keela risks the consequences of using unsanctioned spells and opens the island's first ever and much needed secret spell shop. And it says that it's like a supernatural magical Hallmark movie, which I do like a good Hallmark movie. And on the back it says, "This was a good place with kind people who cared about each other. There was a unicorn in the woods, mermaids in the coves, and the best raspberries she'd ever tasted. And there was Lauren." Lauren? And it's just so beautiful, and it sounds so cozy and sweet, and I really think that I'm going to love this one. Also, it's great how many books in this book haul also have to do with books and libraries. That's really cool. That makes me happy. Okay, and then the last book that I got from Book Outlet is The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, which is the first book in The Wayfarers by Becky Chambers. When Rosemary Harper joins the crew of the Wayfarer, she isn't expecting much. The patched-up ship has seen better days, but it offers her everything she could possibly want: a spot to call home, a chance to explore the far-off corners of the galaxy, and some distance from her past. And nothing could be further from what she's known than the crew of the Wayfarer. From Syssix, the exotic reptilian pilot, to Kizzy and Jinx, the chatty engineers who keep the ship running, to the noble Captain Ashby, life aboard is chaotic and crazy, exactly what Rosemary wants. That is, until the crew is offered the job of a lifetime, tunneling wormholes through space to a distant planet. Sure, they'll earn enough money to live comfortably for years, but risking her life wasn't part of the job description. The journey through the galaxy is full of excitement, adventure, and mishaps for the Wayfarer team. And along the way, Rosemary comes to realize that a crew is a family, and that family isn't necessarily the worst thing in the universe, as long as you actually like them. So this sounds so fun. It's like space opera with found family, and I'm really excited to read it. Again. Because I'm excited to read all of these. Okay, then I got one pre-order in from Books A Million this past month, and that is Emily Wilde's Compendium of Lost Tales, which is the third book in the Emily Wilde series by Heather Fawcett. And once again, we have just an absolutely amazing cover. So since this is the third book in a series, I am not going to read the synopsis. Instead, I'm just going to give you a brief overview of book one, or like a little give you the premise for book one. So in book one, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, we follow Emily Wilde, who is a dryadologist. She studies the fair folk. And she has decided she's going to create an encyclopedia of as many types of fairy or fae as she can. And to do so, she travels to this little village. It's very like Icelandic inspired, where there is a particular kind of fae that is not found anywhere else. And Emily is not very good with people. She's not really like grumpy. She's just kind of introverted, and she's not very good at interacting with others. So when she gets there, she's kind of having a hard time, enmeshing herself with this little village. But suddenly she is joined by her colleague, Wendell Bamblebee, with whom she has kind of a friendly, antagonistic sort of relationship. And Wendell is the exact opposite of her. He is very, very, very outgoing, very charismatic. And he has decided that he is going to help her with her encyclopedia. And so that's where the story starts off. This series, I've only read the first book so far. This is book 3, as I said. But it has fae that are much closer to old legends and lore about fae folk. They can be very dark. Some of them are small and harmless and kind and whatnot, but some of them can be very dark and tricky and self-centered and frightening. And it was really, really cool. It's written like in a as if it's like her journal, like her academic notes that she's keeping to then help her later as she's compiling the entries for her encyclopedia. And it's just really cool, and I loved it. I loved Emily as a character. I loved her dynamic with Wendell, and so I'm really excited to continue this series. I wanted to read book 2 last year, but then I ended up deciding I would read books 2 and 3 together. So now that I have book 3, I can actually read them and continue, and I'm super happy about it. Alright, so then I got 2 books from The Broken Binding. The first one is a pre-order that came in, and that is their edition of Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong. This book is absolutely gorgeous. Like, just let you look at all the details there for a second. The cover is so beautiful. The sprayed edges. I love their use of color with like the reds and the muted blues there. And then on the naked hardback, we have some foiling of, this is from, I think, the standard cover for the traditionally published edition. And then we have beautiful end paper artwork. So there's the front. It is signed by M.L. Wong. And then we have the back end papers. Also, can I just point out M.L. Wong's little author pick here? It's like an illustration, and it's so pretty. I just really like that. For 20 years, Siona has devoted every waking moment to the study of magic, fueled by a mad desire to achieve the impossible, to be the first woman ever admitted to the high magistry at the University of Magics and Industry. When Siona finally achieves her ambition and becomes a high mage, she finds her challenges have just begun. Her new colleagues are determined to make her feel unwelcome, and instead of a qualified lab assistant, they give her a janitor. What neither Siona nor her peers realize is that her taciturn assistant was not always a janitor. 10 years ago, he was a nomadic hunter who lost his family on their perilous journey from the wild plains to the city. But now he sees the opportunity to finally understand the forces that decimated his tribe, drove him from his homeland, and keep the privileged in power. At first, mage and outsider have a fractious relationship, but working together, they uncover an ancient secret that could change the course of magic forever, if it doesn't get them killed first. So I do have the traditionally published first edition of this with like the red sprayed edges, but this was just too beautiful to pass up. And I think what I'm going to do with that one instead is give it to my brother's girlfriend, maybe for her birthday or Christmas, because I think that this is a book she would really, really like, because she seems interested in books that have to deal with like fantasy, dark academia kind of settings. And so I think I'm going to do that. And now I have this pretty copy, and then I need to actually read it. Okay, and then the next one that I have is also from the Broken Binding. I finally got put on their Tier 2 fantasy subscription list. So I was able to get my first book from their subscription service, which is The Mask of Mirrors. This is the first book in Rook and Rose by M.A. Carrick. And again, it's just beautiful. We have the sprayed edges. I've seen this series around, like on the internet, and it comes with a bookmark. You can see there. But I've never, really like been invested in it. I mean, I thought it sounded really cool, but I've just never like actually bought a copy and read it. But the Broken Binding is doing this series currently for their fantasy subscription, and I got accepted on, and I was like, you know what, these are so pretty. I didn't want to use my skip for them, so they're just beautiful, and I really think I'm gonna like them. There's the front end pages. Since I'm on Tier 2, my copies are not signed and numbered, but that's okay. And then the back end pages. Nightmares are creeping through the city of dreams. Renata, oh no, we have more French names. Viraudax, I don't know. Renata Viraldax is a con artist who has come to the sparkling city of Nedezra, the city of dreams, with one goal: to trick her way into a noble house and secure her fortune and her sister's future. But as she's drawn into the aristocratic world of House Trementis, she realizes her masquerade is just one of many surrounding her. And as corrupted magic begins to weave its way through Nedezra, the poisonous feuds of its aristocrats and the shadowy dangers of its impoverished underbelly become tangled, with Rin at their heart. So it sounds like we're going to have political intrigue, but in a way that reminds me a lot of Orlais from Dragon Age. So very glittering, gilded, but cutthroat underneath. I don't know. I just think it sounds fun. It's beautiful, and I'm really hoping that there is a lot of commentary on this like class system that seems to exist in this world. So yes, it's gorgeous. I can't wait to get the other two books in this series this month and next month. They're so pretty. Okay, so then I got 3 pre-orders from Crunchyroll. The first one is I Ship My Rival X Me Comic Volume 2 by Peppa and Qualia. I have already read this. I read it as soon as it came in. It's so good. I love it. This series, we follow Wei Yanzi, the blonde here, and Gu Yiliang, who are both idols in China. So this is a full-color manhwa. And Wei Yanzi is a little insecure because he thinks that people really only like him because he is pretty. He doesn't really have a lot of confidence in his ability as an actor, and especially because fans on the internet of Gu Yiliang have kind of pitted him against Wei Yanzi to make them into rivals. So Wei Yanzi and Gu Yiliang's fans dislike each other. They dislike the opposing person. Because they entered on the scene kind of at the same time, and they've just kind of formed this rivalry amongst themselves. However, Wei Yanzi discovers one day that there is another group of fans online who are not only fans of both of them, but actually ship them with one another, and he becomes kind of immersed in this ship and this kind of online community because they're so kind and they're nice to both of them, and he's like, oh, this is so refreshing, like people aren't insulting me and being mean to me. But this happens at a time when these two happen to be working on the same period drama. So they end up actually meeting and starting to spend time together and grow closer. And it's so cute, and Wei Yanzi starts to kind of think maybe there is actually something to this whole shipping thing. And it's just really cute. It is so adorable. I love it so much. In volume 2, we really get to see the progression of the relationship between these two, and like most of it is from Wei Yanzi's perspective, but you do get occasional chapters from Gu Yiliang's where he's like writing in his journal. And so you get to see how he has interpreted different things opposed to how Wei Yanzi is interpreting them, and it's just really cute. I will say, Wei Yanzi is kind of oblivious, so like you kind of want to just like shake him gently and be like, honey, let me just talk to you for a second. But anyway, I'll talk about this in more detail when I do like my first quarter reading wrap up at the beginning of April. But I have already read this. It's really fun. I'm really liking this series so far. Highly recommend. It's very cute. Okay, then the next one that I got is a little odd, but I was really intrigued. And I'm nervous about it, but I also just want to know what's going on here. And that is Palace of the Omega, Volume 1 by Fumi Tsuyuhisa. Ilya, the 13th prince of a small kingdom, was born an unexpected and very much unwanted Omega, whose birth brought shame upon his royal family. As the lowest ranking member and an Omega, he is destined for a political marriage meant to improve his kingdom's standing. Resigned to his fate, Prince Ilya travels to his new faraway home. Upon entering the king's gilded palace, where he's expecting to meet his future husband, he instead finds a mysterious boy with an unsettling message. So, this is Omegaverse, which is not everyone's cup of tea, and I'm not sure how I'm going to feel about it. However, I am really intrigued as to this idea of someone who doesn't have much power perhaps coming into power, and this like mystery there. I don't know. I really hope I like it. And the cover is really, really pretty. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll see how I feel about this. It also doesn't sound gross, which a lot of Omega verse stories in manga that I see advertised seem really gross to me personally. I'm just talking about personal preferences here. This one didn't seem like that, so I don't know. I guess we'll see. We'll find out. And then the last thing that I got from Crunchyroll is volume 11 of Solo Leveling. So this is the manhwa adaptation of the novel series. I do only have the first 2 volumes of the manhwa, but this is the Crunchyroll exclusive with a variant cover, and I liked it better than the original cover, so I did want to go ahead and get this before it sells out. But this is originally by Chugong, and it's being adapted into a manga by Dubu from Redice Studio and H-Goon. So I guess I can't read the synopsis since this is volume 11. Solo Leveling, we follow Jinwoo, who lives in a world where these dungeons have started appearing, and there are hunters. They are called hunters, right? I think they're called hunters. It's been a while since I've read any Solo Leveling, but I think they're called hunters. They essentially go down into these dungeons and battle the monsters and keep them from coming out and attacking people. And you are ranked according to your abilities. So Jinwoo is like the lowest rank. And one day he goes in with this team and they end up getting trapped in this dungeon that is a lot more difficult than they anticipated. And he saves everyone, but they leave him behind, critically injured. However, he doesn't die. He wakes up, but something is different. He suddenly has a voice in his head that is telling him how he can level up and get stronger. And so he suddenly starts to become really, really, really powerful. And that's how the story starts off. Solo Leveling is very, very well loved, and I do really want to get more into the series because I have only read the first novel. So I do want to read the rest and then get into the manhwa and the anime adaptations because I've heard that they're phenomenal as well. Next, I had a series come in from Dazzling Bookish Shop that I have been waiting on for a while. There were a lot of delays with this one, and that's fine. I don't mind. But that series is Green Creek by TJ Klune. So we have all 4 books in the series. We have Wolf Song. So you can see the really pretty cover art and the sprayed edges. And then one thing that I think is neat is that it comes with the original dust jacket underneath. So if you like that artwork, you do still have that. And then on the little flaps, we have a wolf there and another wolf on the back. Okay. Then we have book 2, Raven Song. You can see again the really pretty dust jacket art. I also think the spines look really cool when they're lined up together. Then we have the sprayed edges. And again, it has the original dust jacket. And on the flaps we have a raven and a wolf. Then we have Heart Song. And then this one, I'm a little disappointed with how dark the sprayed edges are because it's really difficult to see. The original dust jacket. And then we have a wolf on the front flap and another wolf on the back flap. And then finally, Brother Song. We have the sprayed edges. The original dust jacket. And then we have a wolf on the front flap and a wolf and a boy on the back flap. Okay, so I'll only read the synopsis for the first book, Wolf Song, so it doesn't spoil anything for the rest of the series. The Bennett family has a secret. They're not just a family, they're a pack. Wolf Song is Ox Matheson's story. Oxnard Matheson was 12 when his father taught him a lesson. Ox wasn't worth anything, and people would never understand him. Then his father left. Ox was 16 when the energetic Bennett family moved in next door, harboring a secret that would change him forever. The Bennetts are shapeshifters. They can transform into wolves at will. Drawn to their magic, loyalty, and enduring friendships, Ox feels a gulf between this extraordinary new world and the quiet life he's known, but he finds an ally in Joe, the youngest Bennett boy. Ox was 23 when murder came to town and tore a hole in his heart. Violence flared, tragedy split the pack, and Joe left town, leaving Ox behind. 3 years later, the boy is back, except now he's a man. Charming, handsome, but haunted, and Ox can no longer ignore the song that howls between them. So this is a series of interconnected romances. I think they follow different members of the Bennett family and their love interests. And again, we have some TJ Klune in this. So I did actually already have the first 2 books in the series, but again, I'm just going to replace them with these ones because these editions are beautiful. Okay, 3 books left to talk about. So next we have 2 pre-orders that came in from Rekhyt. Actually, one of these wasn't a pre-order. I got it because it was on sale. This package was supposed to come in ages ago, but it was supposed to come in before Christmas, but it got lost and I had to file like a missing package report with the US Postal Service, and they finally found it and were able to get it to me in February, so I'm so thankful for that. But the first one that we have here, as I said, was on sale. So when I pre-ordered this next book, I also ordered a copy of the Dallergut Dream Department Store by Mai Lee, and it's translated by Sandy Jusun Lee. And let me just show you. It's so tiny and dinky and adorable, and I love the sprayed edges. But the reason that I wanted to get the Rekhyt edition is because of the end papers, for the most part. But the book, I'm assuming this is going to be relevant to the story, like on the hardcover. But then we have our front end papers. This just looks so whimsical and amazing. It is signed by the author. And then we have our back end papers. What if there was a store that sold dreams? Which would you buy? And who might you become when you wake up? In a mysterious town hidden in our collective subconscious, there's a department store that sells dreams. Day and night, visitors, both human and animal, shuffle in to purchase their latest adventure. Each floor specializes in a specific type of dream. Childhood memories, food dreams, ice skating, dreams of stardom. Flying dreams are almost always sold out. Some seek dreams of loved ones who have died. For Penny, an enthusiastic new hire, working at Dallergut is the opportunity of a lifetime. As she uncovers the workings of this whimsical world, she bonds with a cast of unforgettable characters, including Dallergut, the flamboyant and wise owner, Baby Nap Rockabye, a famous dream designer, Maxim, a nightmare producer, and the many customers who dream to heal, dream to grow, and dream to flourish. Apparently, this is the first book in a duology. I didn't know that. I thought it was a standalone. But yeah, this just sounds so fun and whimsical and amazing, and I'm really happy that it finally came in. Then the other book that I got from Litjoy is a pre-order, and that is book 5 of Fablehaven. So this is Keys to the Demon Prison by Brandon Moore. Mole, not Moore. And I don't know how well you can see the embossing on the cover, but there we have the front and the back, and it has gilded edges. Here we have the front end papers. And the back end papers. So I've mentioned before when I've hauled the other books in the series, of which this is the final one, Fablehaven is one of those, I think, portal type fantasies, or at least like there's a magical world alongside of our own that most people are not aware of, and we have our young protagonists who somehow come to be a part of it. In this case, I think helping to protect it. And it's one that I never really read or never read as a kid. So I love those types of stories. I have since I was very young, and so I'm very excited to try this one. And now I have all 5 books in the series, which is very exciting. And then the final book in this book haul is The Orb of Kairado. This is the Subterranean Press edition, and this is a novella set in the Chronicles of Ozreth by Catherine Addison. The first book in the series is The Goblin Emperor, so some of you may be aware. It's one of my favorite books of all time. And when this one was announced by Subterranean Press, I don't think it's been published anywhere else. At least I have not been able to find a copy of it in any other edition. And I'm super, super excited to read this. It is a signed limited edition, so here we have the front end papers. It is signed and numbered, and then the back end papers. It also has these little like chapter headed illustrations. It's illustrated, who illustrated it? Thomas Canty, which I think is the same person who illustrated the Subterranean Press edition of The Goblin Emperor, which I also have. But see, it has these like little illustrations for the chapter headings. But yeah, I'm so excited. Like I said, I didn't know that this was even a thing until I saw Subterranean Press announce it. So I don't know if it's like exclusively published by them or what, but I'm very excited about it. Set in the world of Hugo, Nebula, and World Fantasy Award nominee The Goblin Emperor, The Orb of Kairado offers an unlikely hero in historian Ulketha Zorvina. And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong. It's been a while since I've read The Goblin Emperor, and I don't remember all the pronunciation rules for the world. 5 years ago, Ulketha was studying at the University of Kairado, working his way toward becoming a scholar first class in the Department of History. Then a prize artifact disappeared, and Ulketha, deftly framed, was kicked out. Now he works for a crooked importer, using his knowledge of elven history to write provinces for the fake artifacts Salathgarad sells. When the airship Wisdom of Choharo explodes, killing the Emperor and 3 of his 4 sons, which is what happens at the beginning of The Goblin Emperor, so. It takes with it Ulketha's best friend, Mara Lilana, but Mara leaves behind a puzzle, the one thing Ulketha can't resist, and the puzzle leads Ulketha back to the Department of History, and maybe the chance to clear his name. Sounds so fun. I love Catherine Addison's writing. I love The Goblin Emperor. I do need to read the Cemeteries of Amalo. I'll probably read at least the first 2 before this one, since they did release before this. But man, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Every time I get a new book set in this world, it just makes me giddy. And this cover is gorgeous. And I am going to have to go back and reference the pronunciation guide at the beginning of The Goblin Emperor to make sure I pronounce everyone's names correctly, but I'm super excited. It's also really interesting that this one takes place at the same time as The Goblin Emperor. That's very interesting. Also, they sent me this little bookmark with it. So, alright, so those are all the books I got in the month of February. This will probably be the biggest book haul, or at least one of the biggest for the whole year, because like I said, I'm trying not to buy many books, but I did make a book outlet order, which definitely increased the number of books in this haul. But yeah, I'm very excited with what I've gotten. If you have read any of these books and would like to let me know what you thought about them, I would love to hear about it in the comments, or if you're excited to read any of these now that I have talked about them. Or if you've gotten any books over the past month that you're really excited to read, I would love to hear about all of this. Just please, as always, keep your comments spoiler free. And if you would like to leave an emoji, is there like a jam jar emoji for the spell shop? Because that would be really cute. If not, you could just put maybe your favorite fruit. So if there's a jam jar, you could put one of those down there, maybe your favorite fruit. If you would like to leave an emoji with your comment, or if you don't really have anything to say but you just want to let me know you were here, you can pop a couple emojis down there. But yeah, I genuinely love to talk to you guys in the comments. It really makes me happy. So I really look forward to hearing from you. But again, thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day or a wonderful night wherever you are, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye! What are you doing? Rekhyt? Rekhyt? What are you doing? What are you doing? Are you done? Did I miss most of the crazy? Okay, she's done.